Hi, I'm Kristin, a librarian here at Massanutten Regional Library. For this spring's craft, we are going to be making a cute little fence line with some felt flowers, and in your kit this month, if you received one, you're going to have a little piece of fencing, you're going to have a paintbrush and some white paint, and then you're going to have 4 different colors of felt. Now at home, you're going to need a pair of scissors, as always, mostly. This time you're going to need a glue gun. If you don't have a glue gun at home, you can easily get these for like $3, $4, $5. You know, you don't need a fancy one. And then just go out in your backyard and grab a handful of little twigs or sticks, because we are going to need those as well. And with that, let's get started on our craft. Okay, first step is just to paint our fence. So we have a 1-inch foam brush here. I love these things. They're nice and smooth application. And just paint your fence. I did 2 coats on my example. 1 coat might be enough for you, but we'll just start with 1 here. Okay, now we'll put that aside to dry and start working on our flowers. All right, next let's get started on our flowers. I'm going to call the first flower a rose for lack of a better term. I mean, they're felt flowers, so they're not real looking things, but close enough. So we're going to call this one a rose. So to make your rose, you just want to cut a circle out of your felt, whichever color you like. All right, see, it doesn't have to be perfect, so you might even have something as a little ugly looking as that. Once you've cut your circle, you're going to cut it into a spiral. And once you get to the end, I like to leave a little bit of round at the bottom, as it's going to help us attach our flower. So then all you will do is start from the outside. You can start from the inside. I've seen people do it that way. I like to start from the outside. And then just roll, hopefully you can see this, just roll it up, and you're going to start seeing the petals forming here. And then once you get to the end and you have this little bit here, just put a little bit of hot glue in the center there and attach it to the bottom like this. So when you flip it over, you should have a nice little rose. Now if you have some petals that look a little wonky and you want to trim them, like that you've got like a sharp spot, you can always go back and just trim little bits off your rose. Okay, next we're going to grab another one of our colors to make our next flower, which, for lack of a better word, I'm going to call a mum. You can just cut off like a straight edge on your fabric, maybe 2 inches, say. Just cut straight across. This would not be a Crafting with Kristin video if I didn't complain about how dull my scissors are. Okay. Once again, does not have to be perfect. So for this one, we're going to fold it in half. You might find it easier to put a little bit of glue in the middle to hold the seam. So go along one of the edges. You don't have to do this, but it does help it like stay together while you're trying to work with it. So I'm just going to do this for simplicity's sake and fold it over without burning yourself. Okay, so you should have a little thing that looks like this. Then you're just going to cut little pieces about like this wide, you know, say a fingernail's wide. That's my exact measurement. And just do that down the whole length. Okay, so you should have something that looks sort of like this, and then just like the rose, you're going to start from one end and just roll it up. I find it easy to hold it together if just here and there you put a dot of glue to help it. You don't have to go all the way down, but just every now and then. And then definitely do some at the very end. And voila, we have a flower that looks somewhat like a mum. All right, I'm going to grab my third color of felt for our last flower, which I'm going to call a daisy, again, for lack of a better term. You're going to start this one just like you did the last flower and just cut a straight line. Okay, so you should have a piece about like this. Now, instead of folding it in half and cutting, you're just going to start cutting long, thin strips. Make sure you don't cut all the way through because that will not roll very well. Okay, so now we should have a nice fringy piece like this, and then just like the other two, same thing. Actually, it'll be easier for me to do it from this direction. Don't ask me why. We're just going to start at one end and roll it. All right, so when you finish, it's going to look a little bit like this. All you have to do is kind of fluff it out a little bit. If you think that your strands look a little bit too long, you can always trim the ends up. If you want to give, like this one looks a little weirdly pointy, so I'm just going to kind of flatten it up a little bit. So you can just kind of shape that however you like. You might even want to cut a little circle from another color and give it a sort of middle point there if you want to, but there we have our little daisy-like flower. Okay, next we're just going to cut a few little leaves for our flowers. So you can do these however you want if you have a particular leaf shape you like. I just kind of do a very simple, something like this. So that's what I do, and then just cut a bunch of those so that you'll have a few to work with when we go to put our fence together. Okay, now if you remember on my sample, I made this little grass here. I'm not going to show you how to do this. Well, I'll show you how to do it, but I'm not going to go all the way through it because you don't want to sit here and watch me do this. But basically, to make the grass, just cut a strip as thick as you want. If you want short grass or tall grass, just cut it all the way across. And then once you've done that, again, not going all the way across, just cut little teeny, kind of like how we did the last flower, just cut little teeny grass stalks there, you know, kind of fringy, and just make it as long as your fence is wide. And it's that simple. Okay, now that we've made all of our components, let's go ahead and assemble our fence. Like I said, you're going to need some sticks from your backyard. I have way more here than I need, but I just like to have options. So as you can see, most of these are a little bit too long. So when you find one you like, no fancy equipment here, just break it at the length that you want it to be. That one still might be a little too long. Okay. All right, so then just put a little bit of glue on the back of your stick. And glue it to your fence. And then pick which flower you want to do. I only made 3 flowers during this tutorial, but make as many flowers as you want to fill up your fence. You can, you can have tall ones, short ones. You can really crowd it there if you want to. But so I'm going to start with my daisy here. And just put it on top of its stalk. And then use some of your leaves. This daisy's a bit poofy for leaves, but just glue your leaves in wherever you think that they look good. And then we'll do that with the rest of our materials. All right, so you can see I have my little garden here, and if we're going to do our grass, then you would just glue your grass across the bottom of your stalks there, and that is it. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed making this spring's craft with me. If you didn't get a craft kit, this is one of the easiest ones that I have made that you can do at home. It's easy to get the materials together. Felt is so cheap, sticks from your backyard. You can put them on a piece of wood like I did, which I got at the dollar store. You can put it on a blank canvas. You can paint a canvas and put them on. Like, there's all kinds of things you could do with this. It is really a simple, cheap craft, which, if I do say so, I think came out quite nicely. And now we have these beautiful hangers to put on our walls for spring. So I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, happy crafting.